Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And hi if you're new here, I'm Jade, and it is time for the December TBR. Now I have a confession to make. I don't think I'm gonna finish my November TBR. It has been a crazy busy month. I think with Thanksgiving, I've had a lot of change around with clients for my job. I've just had a lot on, and it's like this weekend I have 4 Thanksgiving events to go to. 4. I'm never this social, ever. By the time you've watched this, it'll be after that weekend, and I will actually be away when this goes live because I'm going away for Thanksgiving. So between going away and all these events at the weekend, I am just behind, to be honest. Depending on what way you look at it, I made a mistake at the beginning of the month because I decided to do the tandem read from Throne of Glass, which I loved, and I'm really glad I've done it and that I could continue with the series. But it just took a bit of time because I was slower reading, being so busy. And then all my other books, because I want to say pretty much all the books that we chose last month with the TBR jar were pretty long. I think I can do all but one this month. So whatever one I don't read this month will go into the December TBR as well. Maybe 2. But I'm hoping just one. The main reason being, when I go away, I kind of just want to take my Kindle now that I have it. But these are all physical books. So yeah, I just don't realistically see me having time to read them all before I go. So now that confession is out of the way, and it will be the first month I have failed on my TBR, but I mean, it happens to the best of us. And I think we have to think, some days our lives are just busy, or we just fancy reading something else. And while I love having a TBR jar and doing these videos, and generally love just picking maybe something I wouldn't have naturally reached for that month, sometimes there's too much, and I feel you should follow your heart and read the books that are calling to you. But without further ado, let's get on. Let's see what we're going to get for December. And I feel like I will have a bit more time to read in December. Usually the weather's worse, I'm out less, everyone's busy for the holidays. I have no family here, so I won't be busy. I'm not doing anything specific for Christmas. I'm meeting some friends near Christmas, and we're having a sort of friends Christmas, which would be really nice. And obviously I'll spend Christmas Day with my husband, but overall I'm really not doing that much. So I feel I can catch up in December and get everything read that I really want to read. Okay, so I have put my jar on my knee as usual so you can see it. And let's see what the first prompt is going to be. A pink one this time. Rated lowest on Goodreads. Ugh. That's not a prompt I really want, but I feel like I do pick everything on my TBR because it interests me. There's something intriguing about it. So I guess I go through Goodreads and see what I find is the lowest rating. This could take a moment. I might miss it. I'm not going to be able to have time to go through all of these books. There's a ridiculous amount. I have way too much on my TBR, which is why we've got to get through these, and why next month I'm going to have a really hard reading month and catch up. But yeah, let me go see what I think I can find. So in my head, I had a book in mind that I thought might be rated the lowest. So I checked that first and then thought I would go through and check others. And I actually ended up checking I'd say 80% of what is on my TBR. There's a few I'm just very confident that they will not be the lowest, so I didn't include them. But everything else I wasn't sure about. I literally just went through it all. I literally spent about probably 25 minutes just going through all these books on Goodreads, just to find that the one I suspected would probably be the lowest. What's the lowest? And that is Wicked. I actually just went to see the second movie, so maybe it's on theme. I know that the musical and the movie doesn't really follow the book. This is much darker. So I've been putting this off because I did not enjoy Elfie this year. But you know what? It's obviously time. So for those of you that don't know much about this story, who have escaped it all in the hype that has been around it the last couple of years, it follows the story of Elphaba, and she essentially is what is known as the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz. So it's kind of like a Wizard of Oz prequel. Obviously a different writer. As I said, I've heard this is much, much darker than the musical version. But, I'm intrigued. Hopefully I like it more than I liked Elfie, because I honestly think Elfie might have been one of my worst books of this year. So it's going to be fun. If you want to see what I'm going to think of this, make sure you're subscribed and then watch my December wrap up. So let's see what we get for prompt number 2. A purple one. flowers on the cover. Okay, this is a little easier to work out. Let me pick a few options. Okay, I have quite a lot that have flowers on, which isn't surprising, I don't think. I feel like a lot of book covers do have flowers. I've picked out 3 that I could pick from. I must admit, in my head, I think I know what one I'm going to go for. But I thought I would just speak through 3 with you so you can see different ones with flowers. So these 3 just kind of like stood out to me as soon as I looked at my TBR. So the first one is Bridgerton, The Duke and I. I have been wanting to read this for ages. My cousin kindly gifted this to me, actually, but I just haven't got around to it. I feel like it has more summery vibes, and I'd kind of planned on reading it this summer, and I don't know, time ran away and I just didn't get around to it. But I feel like I'm going to enjoy this more in sort of summer vibes, so I'm not going to pick it right now. But if you don't know Bridgerton, the TV show's first season follows this book, roughly, from what I gather. I don't know the differences between the TV show and the books at all, which is why I'm kind of intrigued by trying this first book. I only have the first one because sometimes once I've watched a TV show, I struggle with the books a little bit more because of just how it's done on the TV show. I can't like get past seeing that. Sometimes I still really enjoy them, but sometimes I don't. So I thought, I didn't want to get any more than just this first one to try. So I definitely want to try it sometime. I'm not sure when. The next one is Variation by Rebecca Yarros. I really, really want to read this book. It's got a lovely flower cover here. It's a little bit more mysterious as flowers go, I think. I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about Variation, but I actually kindly got gifted it off my wish list by someone, which was really, really sweet. And yeah, I definitely want to read this. So I think it's about a ballerina that injures herself and then she meets a guy, and I think it's a bit of a love story that's got a little bit of complexity to it. It kind of reads like a very Nicholas Sparks sounding plot, and I do love Nicholas Sparks. So yeah, I'm not going to say too much more about this because I honestly don't know, and I'm kind of just looking forward to reading it when I do. And the final one that stood out to me was Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is the 3rd book in a trilogy, so I can't talk too much about it. But I'm really looking forward to this. I adore the first 2 books in the trilogy, and I actually have the Christmas novella that I just bought for myself, which I need to read this first. So I kind of have to read this in December. So I am going to be a bit cheeky this time, and I am going to pick this one because the prompt just works so well, and I know I wanted to read this in December anyway, and I know I've got my other books sort of carrying over from this month, so I know my December TBR is pretty full, so I'm going to be kind to myself and just pick a book that I know I definitely want to read anyway, which I tend not to do usually on my TBR videos. I don't like to sort of like, cop out. I like to have an extensive TBR, but I just think I'm going to be kind to myself this month and go with this one because this is by far the one I'm most excited to read because I adore this series. Okay, it's time for the 3rd and final prompt of the video. Let's see what our final pick is for December. A green one. Something that has sat on your TBR for over a year. There's going to be quite a few of these to pick from too. Let me have a look through. I must have done a better job reading things that I have had sitting on my TBR for quite a while this year. There are several that are over a year, but there wasn't as many as I thought. But then I don't know if that makes it bad at how big my TBR is, knowing that I've obviously bought a lot of these books within the past year. But anyway, I've picked 3 that I could choose from, and I've tried to go for things that are a bit of a different genre to things that have already been picked, because that just makes most sense to me. So the first one I picked to consider is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I read my first Emily Henry this year. I've read 2 of them. I really enjoy her writing, and I thought this was very different, just a cutesy romance to add to my TBR, but I gotta say it does give more summery vibes. But essentially I think this is about a writer who then goes on holiday and ultimately falls in love. It's a romance book, it's Emily Henry, but I always really enjoy it, and I love that it has a literary kind of background to our character. The other 2 books I chose were actually the first books I ever bought in the US when I went to like a discount bookstore, knowing that books were really expensive here. But to be honest, I actually think maybe they're a bit overpriced for a discount bookstore, or at least one of them. But you live and you learn as you live here. But I thought I could consider both of those because yeah, it's been over a year since I moved here, and I bought them literally as soon as I arrived. So I know they're over a year on my TBR. The first one is The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. I have really enjoyed the few books that I have read by Lisa Jewell. I've got a few on my TBR, so I thought maybe I could get another one off. This is obviously a thriller. She's known for writing thrillers, and we don't really have a thriller, although I would say there's sort of darker vibes to the books that have already been picked. So this is definitely more similar than I think Emily Henry would be. But I am intrigued by this one. As I said, I really enjoy Lisa Jewell, and I think this is about a couple that go missing and then a sort of investigation into that. I don't know much more. I don't really want to spoil it for myself, but yeah, it sounds good. And the next one is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I love Kristen Hanna as a writer. I have slowly been working my way through her books, but trying not to like read them too quickly so that I still have some to read. But I've heard good things about this one. And yeah, I thought historical fiction would be a bit different. This one's set in the Great Depression in Texas, so definitely a little different to what's already been picked. But I'm almost certain it's going to be The Book Thief that I carry over to my December TBR. And that is obviously also historical fiction. So if I want a bit of variety in my books, even though I lean towards darker books in the winter, really, I should just make myself read Book Lovers. I also haven't read an Emily Henry for several months. I think August was the last time I read any. I kind of vibe more with romance in the summer, but maybe I should just force myself to read something different. That is kind of the point of this TBR, is maybe not what I would lean towards naturally this time of year. So yeah, let's just go for Book Lovers. I feel like I would vibe with the other two books better this time of year, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to choose something different. So just a quick recap of what is going onto my December TBR picked by the TBR Jar. We have Wicked for lowest rated book on Goodreads, Wisteria for a book with flowers on the cover, and Book Lovers for a book that has sat on my TBR for longer than a year. This was in fact the first Emily Henry book I ever bought, and it's still one that I haven't read. So I think it's time. It deserves its time. And I kind of feel like this could end up being my favorite just because of what the topic of the book is about. We will see. But yeah, it's time. It's the British edition. I bought it with me ages ago. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing what my TBR has kind of led me to put on my December TBR, and I will see you again real soon. Bye!